But as I was saying, it's been a very difficult week, as Christine had said, just being so far away and just feeling a little disconnected. On my first trip with Eduardo, it was kind of funny. I don't know the circumstance of whether I was kind of roaming around when we were in the clinic or what happened, but I ended up kind of being his surgical tech girl. And so every time there was a wound or something like that came up that he needed a pair of clean hands, he'd come searching for me no matter where I was or what I was doing. And so we kind of had that special connection. And then on the second trip, we just kind of stayed along with that same type of thing. And it's kind of corny, but it was just that special connection that he and I seemed to have, that he even teased Heather one time. She was kind of free and I was busy doing vitals or what have you. And she kind of teased him and said, well, what am I, chopped liver? And of course, I'm not quite sure he understood what the sarcasm was in that, but he laughed about it. And so, I hold that very dear to my heart, that he and I had that funny little connection. So that's what was special to me, that he'd always find me out for some reason when he needed some help.
Christine, can you hear?
I can. Sorry, I have 7 things going on at my.
Christine, were you all able to hear Jen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So since I'm already unmuted, and we know it's working, I'll go ahead. So Eduardo was like the first real connection to Honduras that I experienced. We picked him up at the grocery store when we were getting ready to shop for groceries for the week. And so felt an instant connection with him. He was so kind and so giving. And so we sat together on the rest of the bus ride, and not knowing what to experience. It was very bumpy. It was right at the end of the rainy season. And so I just picked his brain about, what the culture was like, what we were going to see, lots of questions that I had to prepare myself for what we were going to be experiencing for the week. And then our second trip, we just spent getting to know each other even more. And so it's very sad to me that thinking about going back and not having him there with us, because he was such a huge part of the experience for me. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thanks, Heather. Chuck, you unmuted yourself, didn't you? You ready to go next? I know I'm unmuted, but I'm not sure if folks can hear me. Can you guys hear me? There you go. I'm not going to call on people. I'll just let you guys just free flow. Just take yourself off of mute. Eduardo's brother's here. We're trying to get somebody to translate for him, but I think Yudi can do that. But I think I'm just going to let you guys take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. My name is Judy. Some of you know me, some of you don't know me, so it's a pleasure meeting you all. Not much under these circumstances, but this is life. So I met Eduardo, I guess, in 2017, always at the clinic. And when I met him, he was kind of serious, and then we started joking. And then we talked about Paola, which she was her friend. And then we had like a conversation, and the most like a picture I have in my mind is like when there was a girl at the clinic that got there with a cutting on her ankle, and then he started doing some stitches, and I told him, I see that this is kind of hard to do it, and he told me like, we gotta do it, Judy, and I need you to please help me with her family and things like that. And I remember there was Kate, and I also have the picture of what he did that day. And that was so incredible because he used to be a person who were not afraid to take risk, and he was always there. His heart was always there just to help people, and he knew how to manage the situation. And that kind of encouraged me to follow my dream, passion, take risk, even though he was kind of feeling a little bit of pressure. He was doing it with all of his heart, and that's what we are here for, because we are meant to do something. We are meant to help others. Not everyone has that compassion in their heart, and I'm so glad I met him, and we spent like a lot of time, well, not much time, but several weeks at the clinic always, and we had like a conversation. We went to Roatan when I was invited by the team, and I don't remember it was Telamar or La Ensenada, can't remember that, but I also had like a video in my computer. I think I have it, yes, I do. And that reminds me of his smile and all time together. Thank you.
I remember Eduardo was so full of life. It's just really hard to believe as he's no longer here with us. He and I kind of rode together a lot on the bus. He offered to guard my pillow for me, and of course he guarded it under his head, and I enjoyed the way he asked for that. He knew that I was a retired teacher, and I think that was one of the reasons, but he often wanted to practice his English with me. His English was very good, but he was wanting it to be perfect so that he could come to the US and further his studies in medicine to be more of service to his people. He was a very caring, pleasant person to be around. And although I only knew him for a week, I feel like I've lost a great treasure. Él estaba tan vivo, no puedo creer que ya no está con nosotros. Mi primera memoria con él fue en el transporte. Hablamos mucho, y cuando él sabía que yo era maestra, él quería practicar mucho su español conmigo, y yo disfruté eso también mucho. Él tenía muy buena inglés, pero quería mejorarlo para estudiar en los Estados Unidos, para tener más destrezas para servir a su gente. Gracias.
I would like to share that it was wonderful working with Eduardo. Gail Gillis and I led 2 teams in the fall, 2019 and then 2018, and Eduardo was on our teams. And what is especially poignant for us today, Gail couldn't be here today, was we would be in Honduras today. We would have left yesterday, and Eduardo would have probably have been on our team again. He was on our email list to go. So it's especially remembering that today, that we would have been with him. Thank you.
Well, my name is Beth, and I was on the trip in 2018 with Mary Ellen and Gail to Honduras, and it was my first time meeting Eduardo. And I didn't even know that he was a doctor at first, but we went to our first clinic, and he was treating patients, and he was so kind to them and patient with them. And so I did get to know him a little bit over the week, but I can remember my fondest memory is on Roatan, when we had our last day in Roatan prior to flying out, and we were staying at a resort, and I got to have breakfast with him the morning that I was leaving, and he shared with me how much he loved what he did and how he wanted to further his education and how he wanted to try and get to Miami. And I'll just never forget his smile and his hope and his loving and kind attitude toward everyone. Even though I only knew him for a week, I really enjoyed him. And I'm so sorry he's not with us any longer.
Aquí está, mire, venga.
Thank you.
It's hard for me to imagine going back to Honduras and Eduardo not being there. I'm sorry.
Lo de Eduardo que organizaron los gringuitos.
Allá al cuarto. Oh. José
We,
Martínez de Buñuel.
we met Eduardo in 2017. Paula, his friend Paula had been on a trip with us prior. And then the next time that we went back, Paula brought Eduardo.
¿Y dónde me voy a sentar? Allá lo voy a ver. En la cama, ve. Como se siente usted, me acomode.
And I think I've only been on one trip since then that Eduardo was not on. He was just such a treasure. He was so kind, so compassionate, so great to work with.
Uno no sabe lo que están diciendo de Eduardo, creo.
And
so
I
sorry
am
for the
forever
introduction.
grateful for the trips that he made, you know, with the teams that I led. I don't guess I just have one particular memory of him. I have many, and I just can't pick a favorite. And I'm so glad that he did get to come to the States and spend that Christmas season with he stayed with Brandy and Chuck, but all of us got to spend time with him in those in that time that he was here. And I'm really grateful that we had that time. I'm grateful for all the time that we had in Honduras. Because he was just such a wonderful person.
Don't jump in. We gotta wait for Tyler.
Well, we first met Eduardo on our first trip, and it was one of his first trips. And instantly, like everyone did with Eduardo, you just clicked. And he was so happy all the time, full of life. And I think every year probably felt like we felt like, well, we're his favorite. You know, we're his favorite team. I'm sure everyone felt that because he just made everyone feel like you're my favorite. And so everywhere he was, whether he was with Eldon Betsa rolling enchiladas in the kitchen or playing Legos with kids or taking care of patients, wherever he was that light and that happiness and that joy, and you just kind of wanted to be around it. And just, you know, so we always he was a request for us. Like after that first time, we have to have Eduardo with us every time. We can't go without him. And so just meeting up with him again at the grocery store, it was like, this is part of the best, you know, part. And it's just such a tragic, unbelievable loss because of that, because that brightness and that wonderful, wonderful person is gone. But he was always just someone I gravitated to, such a, just a sweet, sweet, wonderful spirit. But on our first trip, something I remember about him just being a lifesaver, we were at Plan de Flores, and our last patient of the day, a little boy, a little wheezer, respiratory distress. And I'm like, the Decadron isn't here. It didn't make it. Oh, what am I going to do? And he said, what do you need? And I told him, and he had a little pouch in his backpack, and he opened it up and he pulled out a vial. He said, one time I got stuck and we didn't have it. And after that, I put it in there every time. And that one little vial was just a lifesaver. And I just think about the tragedy of all, you know, how long it takes that resource of a physician to all that training and all that, and how we've lost that, all those patients, you know, in the future that he could have cared for, because he loved what he was doing, and he made everyone else just love being around him. And our family, like all of you, are just heartbroken at the loss. And we're just happy to be able to spend this time with you and all of you wonderful people that feel the way we do.
Hola. Hola.
Hola.
Ok. ¿Alguien puede traducir de los que están aquí en el Zoom?
Hold on. Permítame.
Sí, pero no,
She's
no
asking if
hay
someone
garantía.
can translate for them with the one we are here.
¿Ah?
Go ahead, Judy. That's phenomenal. Go ahead.
Ok, yo lo voy a hacer.
Ok, gracias. Muy buen día a todos.
Permítame, deme un momentito, voy a agarrar una hoja de papel, ¿está bien? Deme un momentito.
Ok.
Hold on one moment, please. Let me grab a piece of paper. Ok, señora, me da espacio entre oraciones para que yo pueda interpretar, ¿está bien?
Ajá.
Es un placer servirle. Dígame.
Buen día.
Good morning.
Es difícil para mí como prima hermana de Eduardo
It's difficult for me as Eduardo's cousin
dirigirme a ustedes
talk to you
en este momento tan difícil que hemos pasado toda la familia.
at this difficult situation we are going through, the whole family.
Ha sido un momento muy doloroso,
It's been like a hard time for us,
pero nos conforma mucho
but it makes us comfortable, or it helps us
ver el apoyo de personas tan lindas como ustedes,
to see your support as a nice people.
es algo que mi primo construyó
That's something that my cousin built,
siendo un gran hijo,
since a wonderful son,
con muchos valores inculcados en su hogar.
with many moral values taught at
No es,
his home.
no es fácil, yo sé, para mi tío en especial perder a un hijo y para mi primo en especial el que él haya perdido su otra mitad, porque eso era Eduardo. Para Edgardo, yo no sé, ustedes saben, él era gemelo.
It is difficult for my uncle, you know, he lost his son. And it is also difficult for my cousin, Eduardo, because Eduardo was a twin.
Ok. Pero nos conforma tanto el que él llegó a Estados Unidos, hizo amistad con muchos de ustedes. Él era un chico que no era racista. Él se relacionaba con todo tipo de personas.
It helped us that he went to the United States. He built relationship with good friends as you. He was not a racist person, and he used to get along with many people.
Es difícil para uno de familia, pero nos conforta porque sabemos que fue la mejor decisión que Dios pudo tomar y no que de repente mi primo estuviera sufriendo en una cama, no sé qué tanto habría hecho esta enfermedad, cuando él ayudó a muchos a sobrevivir. ¿Y por qué él? Pero Dios sabe el por qué lo hizo también y no vamos a renegar contra eso.
It is difficult as a family. We understand God made best decision for him instead of suffering at a bed. I don't know how much the disease did to him, how much it did, but we don't understand why he passed away when he helped many people to survive, but we won't complain about it.
Qué ironía, yo estuve contagiada y su hermano Edgardo era mi doctor porque yo estaba en casa y yo lo llamaba, primo, fíjate que siento esto, no, y él no, prima, todo es normal. Primo, fíjate que siento taquicardia, vieras que me duele en el corazón. Prima, ahora tomate una aspirina, ahora sí. Y él, no lo hagas, sí, haz esto, tranquila. ¿Y por qué ellos ayudan a tanta gente, los médicos, y por qué ellos, a pesar de eso, sufren y son ellos quienes pagan las consecuencias al final?
I was also positive for coronavirus, and I called Eduardo and I told him, oh, Eduardo, I'm feeling this, like I'm having tachycardia. I can breathe very well. I'm having like heart pain. And then I asked him, can I take an aspirin? And then I told him no. And then he told me, just follow what I'm telling you. And I don't understand. They help many people. The doctors help many people. Instead of that, they suffer along with this disease.
Dios va a bendecir a cada uno de ustedes y yo les estoy eternamente agradecida en nombre de toda la familia por este hermoso homenaje. Es un gran homenaje. Mi primo ha recibido homenajes y este de ustedes me ha conmovido sinceramente, el que mi primo haya creado en ustedes ese cariño, porque tiene que haber cariño para hacer un evento como este.
May God bless you, all of you. On behalf of our family, we thank you for doing this memorial for my cousin. My cousin had received many memorials. However, this has touched me. Just how much you love him.
Quiero darles las gracias nuevamente. Dios bendiga a cada uno de ustedes. Dios bendiga a Eduardo donde lo tiene, porque sé que está en la gloria de Dios. Dios bendiga la vida de mi tío, de su esposa y de su otro gemelo de Eduardo, mi primo Edgardo, y a Eder en especial. Dios los guarde, y a toda la familia y a cada uno de ustedes. Dios me los bendiga y muchísimas gracias nuevamente por tan lindo homenaje. Gracias.
May God bless you again. Thank you very much. May God bless your family. I know God, Eduardo is in God's hands. I also bless my uncle, his wife, his twin Edgardo, and the whole family. Thanks again for this wonderful memorial.
I consider myself one of the blessed ones. When Eduardo came to the States, it was me that he stayed with. And we had, you meet people in Honduras and you get an idea of how they are. And he comes and he's the identical person here in the States in my home. And just a loving, loving man, gentle spirit, just absolutely precious, helpful in any way that he can. And I consider myself blessed, not just for serving with him in Honduras, but for getting to spend that time here as well. He's left a great hole. And I'm like Lou, I just can't imagine going back to Honduras and him not being there. My prayers are with his family, with his mom and dad and his twin, all of the rest of his family. I think he's got one more brother too. But we love y'all. We're praying for y'all.
Me considero una persona bendecida porque conocí a Eduardo y me identifico con su persona, una persona muy cariñosa, generosa y que podía ayudar en cualquier manera que fuera posible. Fui bendecida de pasar tiempo con él cuando él vino acá y me ha dejado un hueco. No puedo imaginar regresar allá y no verlo. Que Dios bendiga a la mamá, al papá, en este caso es al hermano, al gemelo y al otro hermano, creo que tiene. Dios los bendiga a todos. Dolores Bustillo raised her hand. No, she put it back, I guess.
But I would like to say something that I posted a picture the best one I had of Eduardo. And it says it all. What I will remember most is his smile. And sir, we went 3 or 4 mission trips together. A very compassionate, loving man, and a really good doctor, easy to work with. I was a pharmacist and he was the doctor. And he was so caring, so loving, but just a lot of fun, just a whole lot of fun to be around. And I'll always remember, this picture will be the way I remember of Eduardo. We had a lot of fun. He was just a really great guy here. Now I'll see him again. Thank you.
Hi, y'all. So, I met Eduardo in 2017 on our first mission trip. And the first thing I noticed about Eduardo was how kind he was right when we met him. Like, when we first met him at the grocery store, he was just beaming with kindness and enthusiasm for the week ahead. And as that week went on, I was able to become friends with him. He'd help me whenever like I'd have trouble with my Spanish when talking to a patient. But I also remember, I think my most poignant memories with him were outside of clinic time, like during our downtime, like when we'd walk around the village, seeing everything, or like when we all went to the orphanage to see the children. But I think my favorite memory with him was, so I had brought some comic books to read like on the plane ride to and back. And so Eduardo mentioned that he loved like pop culture things. He loved movies and superheroes. So one night during like downtime, I asked Eduardo, "Hey, Eduardo, I brought some comics. Do you want to see them?" And he was so excited to. So he perused through them, and he enjoyed looking at them so much. And so that was the time when I got to like personally get to know and hang out with Eduardo, and I'll always cherish his memories. And so the next time I went, I like purposely looked for books that I know he'd be really excited to look at. And so we did the same thing the year after, and I was excited to see him again. But then our 2019 trip got canceled because of the protests. But I thought, okay, it's a setback, but I'll be able to see him again. And then another trip I was supposed to go on was canceled due to coronavirus. So, and then when I learned Monday about his passing, my heart skipped a beat. And I was distraught, and I looked back on all the times I got to spend with him, and I will forever be grateful for them. And I'll always look back at those moments on how to as ways to live a joyful life. So I thank Eduardo for his friendship and for his kindness and for his help on those trips, and I'll always remember him.
So I'll take a second. Sorry, Mark had to step out. But I was just gonna say, Eduardo was a different kind of person. He was the person who instantly warmed your heart. You knew he was a genuine person just when he walked in the room. The first time I ever met Eduardo, I didn't actually get to go to Honduras with our team that year because that was the year that we had little Augusta. And so I was pregnant when our team went. And because of Zika virus, it was not recommended that I travel. So when Eduardo came to the States that December to stay with Brandy, I got to meet Eduardo then, and he hugged me just like I was one of the team members on that team. And so we instantly created a bond with Eduardo. We got to talking that evening, and he had never shot a gun before, which many Hondurans have not. But it was something that Eduardo had always wanted to do. And I would love if I had those videos, but those videos were on his phone. But he shot everything that we have with a huge smile on his face. And he just spent the day just doing and trying new things. It didn't matter what it was. He was game to try it and ready for the next adventure, no matter what that adventure was. And I'm so grateful for you guys for inviting him and Paula for inviting him on that first team so that the rest of us got to enjoy him. And later on, we did get to enjoy him on a team. And one of the things that he sent me a message and he said, Andrea, he said, I have these pictures. And it was a picture of him and my mom and him and Joshua. And he said, but I don't have any with you and Mark and Augusta. I need pictures with you guys. He genuinely cared about everybody. Everybody held a special place in his heart. It wasn't just, oh yeah, and he made you feel good, but you genuinely held a special place in his heart. And not everybody is like that. And those are the things that I remember about Eduardo and his lovely smile. He always had a smile no matter what we were doing or where we were going. He just had that kind, gentle spirit.
Hello, everyone. So I met Eduardo on my second trip to Honduras. I had gone on the first trip with my mom, and this was the first trip by myself. And I was really nervous, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. And he was the first person him and Christine were the first people who I just remember genuinely connecting with and genuinely making me feel like it was going to be okay and everything was going to be all right. He was the one person who I loved talking to. I didn't work with him in the clinic much because I was in the pharmacy a lot, but I just remember at our downtime, like I would and watch the ocean and we would just talk just about random things, and he just made me feel so comfortable, and he was so kind. And I think the thing I will miss the most about his laugh, he had the funniest laugh and it was great. And he just liked to make little jokes here and there, and it is truly a loss and it's truly tragic, and he will be missed.
Hola, hola. Quisiera saber si me puede ayudar con la traducción alguien, por favor.
Hola.
Hola.
Sí, le voy a ayudar. Lo siento,
Okay.
es un poquito ruidoso aquí, permítanme. Sorry, guys, it's a little bit noisy in here. It's because the neighbors.
Okay, está bien.
Ok, estoy lista.
Bueno, hay mucho que decir de mi hermano.
There are many things to say about my brother.
Sabemos que es difícil en estos momentos que las palabras salgan de nosotros.
I know it is difficult for words to come out of us right now.
Pero de parte de mis padres, de mi hermano, el gemelo de Eduardo,
On behalf of my parents and Eduardo's twin,
queremos agradecerles ese gran cariño, amor que le tuvieron a mi hermano.
we want to thank you for that loving you had for my brother.
Por haber abierto las puertas de sus hogares.
For opening your house's door.
Él Fue muy feliz. Créanme que lo hicieron muy feliz.
He was very happy. You made him feel happy.
Y él siempre será nuestro eterno doctor.
He will always be our forever doctor.
Sabemos que Él está con nuestro Padre.
We know
Y eso
he
nos-
is with our Father,
Y eso nos llena de paz y gozo.
and that fulfills us with peace and enjoyment.
Él siempre que iba a las brigadas, a Limón, Colón,
He always, when we went to the medical services or medical brigades to Limón Colón,
nos contaba lo que había vivido esa semana y siempre lo decía de una manera muy alegre y muy feliz.
he used to share with us about his staying at the clinic and all he did during that week.
El hecho de ver su rostro con una sonrisa cada vez que nos contaba, a nosotros nos llenaba de mucha alegría también porque es lo que a él le gustaba hacer.
The fact of seeing him sharing his experiences with a big smile on his face made us feel comfortable because he was loving what he was doing.
Es duro que la luz de una casa se apague,
It is hard when the light of a house turn off
porque él era la luz de nuestra casa.
because he was the light of our home.
Pero sé que Dios nos dará la fuerza, la fortaleza para superar este momento tan difícil.
But I know that God will give us the strength and comfort to pass through this difficult situation.
De mi parte y de la de mi familia, simplemente quiero darle gracias a todos por siempre estar pendientes y por tener en sus oraciones a mi hermano.
From me and my family's behalf, I want to thank you for keeping an eye on him.
Sabemos el gran amor que le tenían a él, no lo dudamos.
We know how much you love him, and we don't have any doubts about it.
Gracias a todos.
Thanks, everyone. Amén, dijo alguien por ahí. Gracias.
This is Richard Bowie again. I thought of something else I wanted to share. I've been 22 mission trips to Honduras, worked with a lot of doctors. I'm a pharmacist and I worked in the pharmacy, always in the pharmacy. Worked with a lot of different doctors. Eduardo was a good physician, but he was smart. He knew what he didn't know. Sometimes that's hard for us to admit to ourselves. Eduardo spent a lot of time in the pharmacy. Whenever he was not in clinic, he wanted to be learning learning medicine. So he would ask, what is this? What's this? Oftentimes it would be something they did not have in Honduras. So I really respected that in him. And I wanted to share that as something I was just sitting here thinking of the times that we spent together. And he was a new believer. He was a new Christian and really had a hunger for the word. And we spent a good bit of time talking about the Bible and Christian ideas, churches, and so forth. He had an insatiable appetite, not only for medical things, but for the word. And I look forward to seeing him again. I really do. That's all I got to share. Thank you.
If I'm not wrong, I think the photo that's on the screen is from the memorial on Tuesday. And Yudi, can you ask Eduardo's brother if that's what that is?
I'm so sorry. Disculpe, Ricardo, creo que es Ricardo, se llama Ricardo, ¿verdad? Lo siento. Esta foto es del martes. I don't know if you can hear me.
Sí, sí, correcto. Esa foto es del día martes.
That's right, that's from Tuesday.
Yeah, yes, that's correct.
¿Y los doctores de dónde eran?
Ellos eran los compañeros de trabajo de mi hermano en el centro donde estaba trabajando en primera línea.
Okay. Just asking where those doctors were from, and he stated it was from his co-workers from the health center. He was working at the first line.
No pudiste entrar, ¿verdad?
Thanks everyone. Can you hear me? thanks so much for joining us today and sharing your memories of Eduardo, who was, I think, very obviously one of our very favorite doctors to work with. Before I close this in prayer, I just want to share my favorite Eduardo story. And it was the first trip that he ever went on with us. He told us that he really wanted to practice his English. So we were going every night to the orphanage, and we were doing Bible lessons with the kids, and we needed interpreters. We had 2 different groups of kids, and so we needed 2 interpreters. And so Eduardo agreed that he would be my interpreter on the nights that I was teaching. So we just presented the gospel over and over and over to these kids, and Eduardo translated the gospel over and over and over. And so when he came back with us on our next trip, he told me, he said, "Lauren, I have not missed a Sunday in church since I came on your team." And we started, talking about spiritual things. And again, he translated, he preached the gospel, whether he knew he was doing it or not, over and over again to the kids at the orphanage. And the word of the Lord does not return void. And at the end of that trip, we had the privilege of kneeling with Eduardo in the waiting area of the clinic as he prayed to receive Christ in English. And then, because Eduardo always wanted to get things exactly right, he prayed again in Spanish. He loved his job. He loved his teammates. He loved the Lord. The next trip, I've been to Honduras 7 times. Eduardo's been with me on 5 of those trips. So there's a lot of, and the next time. But the next time we went back and we did more Bible lessons with the kids. And it was my honor to watch Eduardo lead 2 boys in the orphanage in a prayer to give their hearts to the Lord. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, and I will treasure it for the rest of my life. Thanks again, those of you who have shared. I understand those of you who couldn't, but I know you all hold special memories of Eduardo in your heart. So we will pray, and then we will be dismissed. Holy God, thank you. Thank you for our friend Eduardo. Thank you for the opportunity to serve alongside him, to watch him grow in wisdom and in knowledge. Thank you for friendship that stretches across the ocean. Thank you for loving us enough to allow us to know Eduardo. Thank you that he is now safe at home. Thank you that his faith has become sight. I pray that you would give peace to his family. I pray that you would give peace to those of us whose hearts are broken and cannot imagine returning to Limon and not having Eduardo with us. Thank you for his light. I pray that you would remind us of it often, and that we would seek to live in such a way that not only honors Eduardo's memory, but honors you as well. Thank you for this gathering of friends. Thank you for the man that brought us all together. Thank you for his light. Thank you for his life. In your name we pray. Amen.
Hello, Lord.
Sorry. Solo quería mostrarles una parte muy importante de mi hermano, de familia de él también. Quiero que la conozcan. No podría estar tranquilo si no se las mostrara. Es a my wife and my son.
I just want to share something important from my brother's behalf. That's my wife and my son. I can't not share this with you.
Era su primer sobrino.
That was his first nephew.
Y tenía muchas ilusiones, lo adoraba. Tenía muchas ilusiones de poder compartir con él.
He had many things in mind of, he used to adore him. He had great things for him.
Él nació el 13 de enero del 2020.
He was born on January 13 of 2020.
Y él no me soltó ni un momento, siempre me acompañó en todo momento con mi hijo.
He never left me alone. He was all the time with me and my son.
Era el primer sobrino de
His
mi
first
hermano.
nephew. My first nephew, bro. Qué bonito.
Él lo adoraba.
He loved him. Hola.
Gracias por todo. Gracias por ese amor.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for your love.
Thank you all for sharing everything that you shared and for keeping Eduardo in your heart as we continue to serve Honduras in his honor. So thank you all for today. I appreciate all your time and for you guys coming. And Yudi, if you want to thank his family for me, I would appreciate that.
Yes, I will. Muchísimas gracias entonces por Eduardo. Gracias por haber servido a Honduras. Y lo amamos mucho. Gracias por este tiempo compartido.
Ustedes.
Thanks to you.
Have a great day, everybody.
Feliz día para todos. Thank you for sharing everyone's story about Eduardo, and love you.
Gracias, gracias, gracias a todos.
Thanks everyone. Gracias. Fue un placer.
Okay, y'all, I'll leave this room open forever. So I'll just let you so you guys can stay and chit chat and talk. Feel free to go forth with your day. I'm not going to close the room.
What? No. It's who's here? Not to me, I guess. Are we done?
Adios.
Adios.